This is our space outside of our chicken run, where the chickens fling some beautiful compost. We actually need to come around and gather that. But we've got some really nice tomato plants growing here, and we've got some friends moving up to this area from Virginia Beach. So we are gonna pull some of these, dig some of these up and pot them. So they've got a head start on a little bit of a container garden. Look at this. Like, this is compost that the chickens have kind of flung through the fence. It is just absolutely beautiful. Like I said, I need to come around and gather this and put it somewhere to use later. So we're going to go get these in some somewhat substantial pots and hope that they can produce some tomatoes. I also took a couple suckers off of, this one is a bumblebee sunrise, this one's an Amish paste. The hope there, wherever they're in water, they'll start to establish some roots. Once they have a nice set of roots on them, then I'll get them in soil. So our friends have a couple different options for what kind of tomatoes they might like to have. Alright, moved into the shade. I set up a table in the garden that I really wanted to work at, but right now in the middle of the day with the sun fairly direct at that space, it just seemed kind of silly when the shade was right here. Alright, so I've got out my seedy case of seeds. I experimented last year with planting some fall onions, and it worked. So I started them in pots, and then transplanted them. I'll have to actually look exactly when. Transplanted them into the garden, and they overwintered. I was able to utilize them earlier than the plants that I started this year. And one thing I've read is that onion seeds don't hold up real well. So I'm going to go ahead and plant some of these onion seeds, get them started, so as I clear out beds I can turn them over to onions hoping to be a little more intentional this year because I wasn't sure if it would work. So they didn't get mulched as well as they should, and that kind of thing. So this year I'm going to try to be more intentional and see if I can have a better yield of onions that I plant in the fall for the following year, because they are a biannual. They are a plant that grows for 2 years. So hypothetically, this should work just fine. So let's get started. So I'm going to start about 10 or 15 of each of these 4 different kinds. So we got yellow of Parma, yellow sweet Spanish, flat of Italy, and then Brunswick. I think I'm going to do 10 to 15 of each and just see, because that would be 40 to 60 onions to fall plant. That'd be a decent amount of space. Right, so we're using Ohio Earth Food. I don't know how far out this is sold. It's a little bit pricey. This was $11.99 for 1 cubic foot. But I started my seedlings in this spring and they did really, really well. So if I want to give something a nice boost, this is what I choose right now. And our local kind of farm and garden store has this. Just second guessing myself if I should start cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli seedlings for fall. So I googled it, and the answer that I read said 14 weeks before your first fall frost. So that would be what, 3 months, 3.5 months. So we've got most of July, most of August, most of September, and that takes us into October. Right now is the perfect time to start cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, those kind of things. Now, this year I am starting them. I'm starting them out here just because it's easier to not make a mess in my house, but they are going to go inside. Last year I had cutworms got my cabbage, and I think what happened is that they got planted on the seedlings that I just had on a table outside, and so I just transplanted them, and I think I transplanted the cutworm larvae or eggs or whatever with the cabbage, and I lost it all. So I'm going to keep it inside, and then when I do bring it out, I am going to set up a net over it immediately. Because a couple years ago we had a really nice cabbage harvest, and we're on a weekly basis well into the fall and early winter going out harvesting a head of cabbage and using it for our meals for the week. So I would really like to do that this year. Last year we got nothing, so we're going to start them. We're going to get them inside under grow lights and see how we do this year. So here is the table of plants for the fall. Now, these aren't for the fall. These are just sweet potatoes that haven't gotten planted, probably aren't going to. I'll figure out a place that they're gonna overwinter or something to that effect. So got our brassicas, we got 2 trays. I'm just gonna let them stay out here, absorb the water, then they're gonna go inside. A couple big tomato plants that we're trying to transplant for some friends, and then some onions for fall planting. Really excited to see how that turns out. We'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching.